Hey dudes and dudettes, Mr. THEORIST here. Welcome back to another Doctor Who review. This week we'll be covering episode 2, The Ghost Monument. I'm back again with Stacey.
Hello.
If you saw last week's video, you kind of know what we do here is I give a summary of the plot. I took forever last time, so I'm going to try and cut it short. Then I'm going to ask Stacey how she thinks. We're going to discuss the episode overall and then go a bit more into depth about the villain of the week, the overall plot of the episode, and individual characters on whether or not we get a feel of how we think about each character so far. So yeah, let's jump straight into the plot. And by all means, Stace, if there's something I forget that's important, please tell me because I tend to ramble in these videos. Alright, so if you watched the first episode, you know that this episode 2 drops us right in the middle of where the last one left off, where Doctor and the Doctor's new companions are all in space. Then a ship turns up out of hyperspace, grabs them, and then they wake up aboard a ship. But the two groups, they're in different groups. You've got the kid who lost his grandma last episode, and his grandma's husband, who he wants to be called Granddad, but he doesn't. He calls him Graham. With this really nice female captain, and then you've got the Doctor and the other. I don't know any of the assistants' names. It's really bad. They'll come to me over the course of the episode.
I know two of their names.
You know what their names?
Well, there's Graham and Ryan.
Ryan. The girl, I can't remember her name, but yeah, Graham and Ryan are with the female captain, and the Doctor and the other female, whose name I cannot remember. Really bad. Are with a male captain, and he's really grumpy. And both captains are hinting that they are trying to get somewhere and they want to beat the other person. They finally get to the planet, and you find out through them eventually meeting up and going to this tent that it's some massive galactic race that sounds almost like the whole galaxy is involved with at this period of time. And the point that they are in the final stretch of the race and they have to get to something called the Ghost Monument. The Doctor finds out that this Ghost Monument actually is the TARDIS, and that's why her and her companions are off to get there as well. That's why they're going to follow these two characters. The Doctor all the way through the episode is questioning how come this planet is the way it is. Like, the water has microbes that will devour your flesh. The whole world is desolate and there's no life at all. We find out the reason there's no life is this planet has been used as like a laboratory to create weapons of mass destruction. It's kind of hinted at, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these weapons are obviously the water microbes, and also these weird, I would say it's like paper. Is it like paper or cloth? Burnt cloth? It's something like that, isn't it?
They look almost like eels.
Yeah, almost like eels, but they're made out of cloth or something, can't they? They have some sort of intelligence. I got the idea that I'll discuss that when we get to the monster bit. And these cloth creatures can read minds, and we get the Doctor getting a brand new name called the Timeless Child. I don't think that name's been used before, has it?
Not that I can remember.
I don't think so. They manage to get away from these monsters. They hide underground. They go underground first, and they get back up, and that's when the monsters attack them. They finally get to the location where the two races are trying to get to. They get to the tent. The Doctor manages to make peace with these two races because they're both trying to beat each other. They get there, and the guy there is like, no, there can only be one winner. And they're like, no, we both have to win, otherwise we're going to come and get you. And he's like, okay, fine. And lets them both win. But the Doctor is disappointed because the Ghost Monument that she was hoping to find, which would be a TARDIS, isn't there. And we get a really sad 30 seconds where she's like, no, I promised you guys I'd get you home, the TARDIS isn't there. And then you get this really creepy, groany version of the TARDIS's noise. The TARDIS then finally materialises, but it's kind of out of sync with the universe. The Doctor uses her awesome new sonic screwdriver to keep it tethered. It manages to materialise, and we have the awesomeness that always happens. Usually it's in the first, but it's cool they left it to the second to kind of feel like a two-parter. where the assistants have seen the TARDIS, but they never said the line, did
know.
they? There's one thing, like Stacey's mum was like, "Oh, I'm really hoping one of them says it," and I was like, "Yeah, of course they're gonna. Like, they're gonna say the iconic line every assistant says when they first see the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside," and we don't get it. We don't get it at all. They question it. They're like, "How does all of this fit inside a police box?" The TARDIS is brand new. It looks really like ancient, but in a really awesome way. The walls, I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's just awesome. It looks very, very ancient. The centerpiece, the column looks like a really ancient technology with, as Casual Doctor, it's future tech mixed with old tech, like levers and tethers, but also it's got like a crystal version of the TARDIS that spins. The crystal in the center looks like something you could literally pull out of a mountain. Looks unman-made, looks really awesome. But yeah, and the episode ends with the Doctor like, "Hey, look, this is my spaceship. Oh, and also it's a time ship as well." And I'm all like, "Wow!" And that's the plot of the episode. Kinda. I know it's erased it a bit, but I gave you kind of the main points because I don't want to leave too much. I don't want to talk for 20 minutes again about the plot. And yeah, that is the plot of the episode. And I'm going to give you the Stace, and I want your thoughts on what did you think, first of all, about the plot of the episode for this episode.
I liked the plot. It wasn't an amazing plot. It's not an episode that I'm going to remember. Because some Doctor Who episodes you think back on and you're like, wow, that was amazing. But it wasn't one of them. But it was good. It was needed. It mentioned the fact there was a reoccurring enemy, which was interesting. And at the end, she got her TARDIS. The alien, the fact there wasn't really a main enemy of the episode was interesting. It was the planet was more of a threat and them surviving. So yeah, I had a different opinion about the TARDIS design to Richard. I'm not sure if I like it yet, but to be fair, I think I need to get used to it because I liked how it was before. It's very different, which I like. It's just a bit dark and gloomy, but I'll probably grow to like it. So, yeah.
Right, so plot-wise, I love the plot. I actually adore this episode. It's an episode I'm probably going to rewatch because, to me, this I felt very much like Aliens-esque kind of Matrix kind of feel to this, especially near the beginning where what's the younger assistant's name? The names are not sticking with me. Ryan. When he wakes up in his pod, because when they were grabbed into outer space, they were put in pods to help them breathe because they were in space. And the way like Graham was leaning over him, and you thought someone's like you saw surgical pieces, and then he falls over and his face goes into the grate. That reminded me of Matrix when Neo comes into the real world.
Yeah.
And like it was very horror-esque. This guy like waking up totally disorientated from where he is, no idea. He's like, we're in space. Like he's totally confused. I loved that, and the idea of this whole episode being, as you said, there was no monster threat. There was the clothy snake eel things, but for the main part of the episode, and also you had the robots that were in it as well. But for the main part, yeah, it was the planet. It was an adventure story of them getting from A to B, and the Doctor trying to figure out why was this planet desolate. I almost thought they were going to reveal it was going to be Earth. At one point, I thought that the reason when they said that the ghost monument and she figured out it was the TARDIS, I thought the fact the TARDIS was phasing in out of time, it screwed up the planet and it was Earth, and that's why it shifted from where it wasn't like it hadn't deliberately shifted. It had it was the TARDIS that shifted it, and just the fact it was moved out of orbit and out of sync with space, like it, because you had one like the ruins they called it, looks like an 80s diner-esque place, didn't it?
Yeah, Then again, the aliens, two different species of aliens, looked human. They didn't have anything alien-esque about them like Doctor Who aliens usually
Yes,
do.
I think because I have a little bit of inside knowledge,
Okay.
I know that Doctor Who this season has a much lower budget.
Okay.
And that's why we're getting a lot of Earth kind of looking things, and when we get aliens it's going to be, oh look, that's a person in a suit, and less CGI. Like, I know we had the weird eel things that were CGI,
Yeah.
but we're going to get less CGI and more physical things this
Okay.
season. But yes. Yeah. People might already know that, but it's something I learned. So, yeah. So yeah, plot-wise, I'm shocked that you said you thought it was okay. I thought it was much better than the first episode. I thought it was a much more intriguing. It definitely distinguished itself from the first episode that was very much carbon copy. Look, this is how the first episode of every season goes, kind of thing. I'm starting to see Wintake, the doctors, the actress who's playing the Doctor, Claire. I'm sorry, I'm awful with names, but the female Doctor, I'm starting to see her develop the Doctor's character, which is nice. She's getting a few mannerisms that are her own. She's getting a few sayings that are her own. Oh, what was that weird one she said? She said a weird one. That kind of couldn't remember when we were watching it. It caught me off guard, and I was like, "What? What is that?" I like the fact that the assistants, Graham has the whole like, "Hey kiddo, let's stay optimistic," and look, I know what an engine is. Oh wait, it's not an engine. So he's got the cool granddad character, and Aaron. See, you said the name
Ryan.
multiple times, and this is how bad I am with names. Ryan. He's got the whole like ladders. He doesn't do ladders. He's got dyspraxia and he doesn't do ladders, which I think is quite cool.
He also had his Call of Duty moment.
Yes. So anyway, I'm now discussing characters. So tell me, what do you think of the characters? Now we've had 2 episodes. What do you think of the assistants and then the Doctor herself?
I'm going to like the characters. They're very likeable. They were impressively optimistic considering the situation they were thrown into. They weren't freaking out or being whiny about it. Even when the Doctor was starting to give up hope at the end, which was good. 2 of them were thrown into a ship without the Doctor even being there, yet they didn't freak out. So, we've got strong characters. Ryan obviously showed that he was of the younger generation, wanting to shoot the robots with the gun, and the Doctor had the whole brain speaks guns moment, which I liked. And Graham kept wanting to talk about feelings and talk about what happened in the previous episode. So yeah. The female assistant didn't have, I don't feel it wasn't her episode as much about her, but future episodes will probably have more character development in. And the female Doctor, I'm really enjoying her. And the other 2 characters of this episode were interesting. I enjoyed the contrast of their personalities and the fact they were from different alien races. And that was fun.
Even though they both look exactly like humans, though. I'm wondering if it's meant to be kind of like they are humans, but because it's so far in the future that like humanity is like kind of colonized other planets and they've forgotten they're humans, and that's why they look human, but they have no idea what Earth is, because they were like, what are humans? What is humanity? Which is quite cool. So yeah, any thoughts on the monster? What's your overall thoughts on the fact we didn't get a monster, or the fact that the monsters were what they were?
I did like how all the threats of the episode were created by scientists that had been forced to create these weapons by someone, and that I think is going to be might be referencing other episodes. Was it by the people that were in the previous
Yes,
episode?
the Stra.
I think I wrote it down. The
Strenza, yes. I actually have a theory on this. Let's do little theory during this video. Because the Strenza, we found them in the first episode. I think this is just a theory because I know how Doctor Who likes to work in things and how like ripple effects happen from one episode to the next. I think that the Strenza didn't do this planet before, and what it was because the Doctor humiliated their next chief in the first episode, that because of that event, and maybe the fact they're pushing this idea of do not kill, guns are bad, wonder if it's going to be almost a moral sort of thing, like the Doctor should have ended the alien in the last episode. Like, I'm not condoning it, like it's Doctor Who and you're not meant to kill alien kind of thing, but the idea is going to find out that she should have dealt with him differently, because her humiliating him instead of killing him had a knock-on effect where the race has gone from these warrior races that prove themselves by just going to planets and hunting down one human to now they're almost a war race that have collected planets and filled planets full of people to create weapons to take on the rest of the universe. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the direction we're going in with it.
It'll be interesting to find out what happens.
It was just an idea that came to me while we're watching it is, yeah, like, the fact that the episode, it was directly after that they referenced the same aliens, and the aliens who created this planet of weaponry with the weird things in the water and the robot army as well as the eel thingies. And obviously they've got other tech as well that we saw in the first episode. I'm like, they might be the big threat of the season, and because you know everything that Doctor Who usually does to some degree, they like to throw back, don't they? To like, oh look, this is something we spoke about in the first episode, that then gets thrown, like Bad Wolf for a prime example, or the Masters, Saxon, like the older seasons of Who used to do that kind of thing. Newer Who kind of did kind of things.
Christopher Eccleston did with when he changed the news station and just left them, and then it...
Exactly, that's what I mean. Things like that. Like, he messed with the news station, but instead of trying to do anything about it, he left it, and then the Daleks ended up using it. So maybe the idea of the Doctor humiliating this chief instead of dealing with the chief differently caused a ripple effect in their race where they start doing other things. That's kind of what I'm going...
It makes sense.
Yeah. So the TARDIS, you don't know yet.
I don't know. In a few episodes I might love it.
I thought you'd actually really like it, because I know your kind of style is like, you kind of like oldie, retro-y things. I thought it looked amazing.
To be fair, it will grow on me probably.
I think, to me personally, I think, even though I love the look of the TARDIS, I now think the Doctor looks out of place with this version. Like, I always felt like the look of the Doctor always fits with the look of the TARDIS. But I think this season, I think her modern outfit doesn't quite fit with the extreme retro ancient looking TARDIS.
Yeah, I can understand that.
You know what I mean?
I do like her outfit though, it does suit her.
It does. That's what I'm saying. Like, she looks good, and the TARDIS looks good, but together it looks out of place. It's like, yeah. But that's my thoughts. I love the episode. I thought it was unique and different. The fact we didn't have a Pacific monster. I don't know. I liked it, but I don't, because I like it having
out of 10?
Did we do out of 10 for the first one?
Last time we did.
The last one was a 6. This is a solid 7 for me. This is a solid 7 out of 10. That's probably where it's going to go, unless it does like an amazing episode like season 1 Doctor Who with the single Dalek episode. That's to me is like a number 9 on Doctor Who scale. But yeah, 7 out of 10. What about you?
I think it's another 6 for me.
Ooh, gotta pick up your game, Doctor Who. I liked it.
I enjoyed it. It's just it's the first couple of episodes, but it's not the strongest second episode that I can remember.
I don't know, because second episode of Eccleston era, we had them going to a space station and the Earth blowing up.
Second episode of Tenant was no. What about the space whales? I really like the space whales.
Was that a second episode?
Yeah, well, second episode of the series, maybe not of being a new Doctor. Oh, wasn't that Matt Smith? Possibly.
Yes, because it'll be Pond, wasn't it? It'll be Pond era. So yeah, I think that's a good one. Because again, that's a very unique-esque episode.
That would be a highly weighted one in my opinion.
Okay, so you would say the whale one would be where they kind of need to get to reach a high number for you.
Yeah.
And I think reaching an episode like I think it's called Dalek.
That was a good episode.
The one where Rose meets the Daleks.
Yeah.
Like, I love that episode. To me, that's a solid 9. Anyway, we're discussing and starting to ramble, and really should stop. But there are thoughts on episode 2 of season 11. I thought it was season 11, so I know the season this time. Season 11, episode 2, The Ghost Monument of Doctor Who. If you like this video, guys, please hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think so far. Give me a rating out of 10 for what you thought of this episode. And as always, if you haven't already, guys, please subscribe to this channel. It always helps us. And if you have already subscribed, bring a friend along and have them subscribe too. Until next video, guys, I will see you later.
Bye.
And so stays. Bye.